Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the El River Crawfish channel. I'm your host, Sankara. We're back today to bring you the update for May 24th, 2022. This is the situation report for the special military operations in Ukraine. On top of this, I will be talking a little about an apparent 180 degrees that Scott Ritter has made. So I will go into that just a little bit. But first, let's kick this off. Over the last 24 hours, the Ukrainians, the the Russians started to make some moves and taking some and pushing some places. The actually Toshkovka was taken maybe a couple of days ago, but the Ukrainians also admitted yesterday that Vladimirovka was taken, and then the Ukrainians pulled out of Svetlodarsk, and then Krasnyi Liman, half of it is already taken. Uh, this is the map of Ukraine. This is the whole of Ukraine. This is eastern Ukraine and the south in southern Ukraine. This is Crimea. The Russians have all this area, and these areas are the conflict areas that the Russians go in. Right now, they're focusing in this area, trying to secure these republics that President Putin acknowledged their independence. And so there's Luhansk, and then there's Donetsk Republic. Now let's go in. So if you notice here, they're trying to close off this cauldron right here. In this cauldron, you have Severodonetsk and you have Lysychansk. Those are one of the two big cities there. This Popasnaya was captured a couple of weeks ago, and since then they have extended. Russian forces pushing north and they're pushing west. This is Bakhmut. Svetlodarsk is right here that the Russians took over yesterday. So, a couple of things that I would note here is that it seems that the Ukrainians are, at least to some extent, understanding operational combat, or at least abiding by it, because they pulled out of Svetlodarsk instead of sitting there and letting the men get killed, because that's what's happening to the men all the time. Now, remember, I told you before, this map is pro-Ukrainian. This is live UN maps. They're pro-Ukrainian, but you know they do pretty good job with maps, except that they would take their time to put Russian achievements, but then the nonsense that comes from Kiev, they would tend to put it out quickly. Nevertheless, we can use them to some extent and just make some adjustments. So, anyways, if we look in this area, Popasnaya, Svetlodarsk, and I will show you a video from Svetlodarsk. So this is Intel Slava Z on Telegram. So we'll give them a holla. This is Russian forces in Svetlodarsk, and they are bringing the flag down, the Ukrainian flag, and then they will be putting out the Russian flag. So I think this guy was a little too respectful with the Ukrainian flag. I don't know what the Russians are saying here, but my bet is that they're probably saying throw it, throw it away. Don't fold it and nicely throw it away. And so he's going to go ahead and put the Russian flag up later. So one and so here's the Russian flag that they put up, after removing the Ukrainian flag. All right, so let's put that down, and we'll go and I will show you the Svetlodarsk was given up in a smart move, one of the very few smart moves by the Ukrainians. But in this battle, Wagner, the private military company, has been in this battle. So those guys are the real deal. They're not these nonsense and Blackwater guys. These guys are the real deal. They fight. They've been in this battle ever since. I will show you a, a video of them. Well, take a look at this. Imagine you going through this. Imagine you going through this. This is what Ukrainian forces are facing. Russian Hurricane multiple launch rocket missile systems. I mean, this is just devastating. Imagine those salvos coming your way. I mean, and you can't do nothing. They can't do nothing about it. That's what they're facing. So this war has been won since after the first phase. There's a better video of the guy putting up the flag. Let me lower the volume on this before YouTube bans this video for copyright infringement. So let's fast forward to him putting up the Russian flag. So he has the Russian flag now. Putting up another flag right here. And some of those guys, as I told you, some of them are Wagner. Wagner or Wagner. And I would say Wagner because they're not German. So now here are some guys from Wagner in Svetlodarsk. So these guys are the real deal. They've been fighting in this war. They were in Mariupol, and now they're in Svetlodarsk. They are all around the place. They're helping they're attached with the Lugansk and Donetsk People Republics militia, right? So let's see.
Хорошо делать. Успокойтесь, держитесь, у вас
Well,
ребенок,
for people who
Все,
speak
двигаемся,
Russian,
двигаемся.
let me start us over.
Да, мы вам расскажем, мы только мы не можем пойти на штурм, чтобы их убили, правильно? Поэтому мы будем сейчас как-то договариваться.
So understand, in Mali, these are the guys there. So when France tried to have a coup against the Malian government, obviously you know it was not going to
Наших пока
succeed.
там нету.
These guys are
Гражданских вроде они не
no small
трогают
deal. They
пока.
are the real deal.
Я звонила, кому сегодня только не звонила, всем
Все
звонила.
хорошо, все будет хорошо делать.
Успокойтесь.
Trying to calm the old lady.
Все, двигаемся, двигаемся.
All right, so let me talk a little about the apparent 180 degrees that Scott Ritter pulled. I did listen to one of his most recent interviews. I don't remember it was for. And indeed, he did sound like he was changing his tone. Now, Scott Ritter is respected in this community because he has been brave to go against his own country and to stand up against the juggernaut that is the U.S. and government, and seeing wrong and standing up to power. So he all the respect goes to him. What people may not know is that this guy went through hell. He was put through hell. Uh, he went through some legal case. I don't know who's right or wrong, but it just so happened that right when he was going against the U.S. government, all these things starts to pop up. The same thing's happening with Elon Elon Musk right now, just because he going against the Democratic Party, and he has to have. I'm sure he paid financially too, and this hurt his family. I think he even mentioned that. So the thing I would tell people is that when you're listening to people around, especially those living in the U.S., even me, listen to us uh, when as we lay out coherent arguments that make sense. And I guess sometimes you might say, "How do I know it makes sense?" But if you're paying attention to these things long enough, you will see the thread in our arguments. When it starts not to make sense, be able to have make your own judgments and try to consider what we said before to what we're saying now and try to make your assessment around that, because it's possible these people could come for us in multiple ways, financially and stuff like that, and I don't know how many people will be able to stand that. That being said, I don't know the situation with Scott Ritter, but a couple of things he pointed out in this is turn that I wanted to go against a little bit. I'm going against the argument, not against Scott Ritter. I think he's owed some respect. Uh, you know, they were saying that the U.S. spending $40 billion and actually $53 billion to date to help Ukraine is like a game changer, because say for instance Russia's whole budget for a military budget for the year it's is about $43 billion. So that's one of the things we're saying. That makes no sense at all. And let me explain why. All the weapons that the US is sending to Ukraine now, Ukraine had them and had them better, had better ones, more sophisticated. Ukraine was a sophisticated military. Take a look at these numbers. Field artillery and mortars. Ukraine had 1,658 of them. The Russians destroyed them. The US sent what? 90 and sending another 18. The Russians destroyed 1,658 of them. So when they come, they'll get destroyed again. I don't know what a game changer that is. There is no Wunderwaffen. There is no wonder weapon for this war. There's no game changer there. Multiple launch, multiple launch rocket launchers, MLRS. Those are artilleries that and they are mobile artilleries where you can fire and then leave that area. The Russians destroyed 425 of them. To date, I've only heard about a few that have been sent by different NATO countries. They're just going to get destroyed again. Remember, the Russians have counter battery battery artillery. And remember, go back to this field artillery. When you bring this field artillery on a truck, you tow on the truck. Before you fire it, you got to take it from on the truck and spread it out, and then you fire it. So it can't be moved as quickly as the multiple launch rocket systems. It can't be moved as fast. So counter battery will catch them and it will get destroyed. Anti-aircraft. Ukraine had one of the most integrated anti-aircraft systems in the world. They had strategic anti-aircraft, mid and range anti-aircraft, and short range. Very integrated system. Russia destroyed that in 24 to 48 hours. This destroyed those integrated system in 24 to 48 hours. That Ukraine was now using only was using. I mean, they still have some that they hit and they will sneak them out, but that full integration was destroyed within 24 to 48 hours. Unmanned aerial vehicles, 995 of them were destroyed. Yeah, that includes a scores, hundreds of Barakta TB2s, drones. Go to aircrafts. I mean, about 178 of them destroyed, fighter planes and stuff. They every now and then they'll sneak one year in there, but every time they come to where they're not supposed to be, they get plopped down. Helicopters, 125 of them destroyed. Tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 3,243 destroyed. How much you think they're going to make up with this $53 billion? This I remember. I think they said Poland sent about 200 and something. The Russians destroyed 3,243. Special military automotive equipment, some other type of vehicles, whatnot. Russia destroyed 3,124. So what game changer are you was Scott B talking about? Then is mentioned about another thing that was mentioned was that uh, 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 the training forces, NATO is training forces in Ukrainian forces in Poland and stuff like that. Well, they're training existing Ukrainian guys to learn how to use NATO weapons to go back in. It's not like a whole brand new force that they're training. And even if there were a whole brand new force you're training, take for instance in the Marines, we have to go to military. We have to go to boot camp. That's 3 months. You come back from boot camp, you have to go to SOI, School of Infantry. That's about 2 to 3 months. So that's 6 months right there, just to get basically basic uh, 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 um, infantry training, right? But after school SOI, you are not yet that competent and proficient. You have to move to your unit, and in training with your unit over another period of a year or so, then you become proficient. So it takes infantrymen to be proficient around 2 years to be very proficient at your craft. And I'm looking at it from the U.S. Perspective. Now, is it possible you can train someone quickly and throw them in the fire, and then who will come out and the strongest survive? Yeah, sink or swim. But what does that mean? That's a lot of people that are going to get killed for no reason. Now, how many of them are going to be willing to just continue to be cannon fodder? So when you're looking at what Scott Ritter says, give him and grant him a little slack for the fact that maybe someone reached out to him, and but look at the arguments, and this is the type of arguments you can easily counter. There's no game changer there. There is something that Brian Belichick did mention that I'm generally agree with Brian Belichick in everything is so far. Just one thing he mentioned that he thinks the U.S. and NATO going to come in and they're going to come to take Odessa to stop Russia from linking to Transnistria. Um, we both just speculated. I doubt it. I think it's possible they could come into Western Ukraine. Let me show you on the map here. I think it is possible they could come into Western Ukraine and try to take Lvov in those regions because I think Poland has something up their sleeves. I think they could do that. Now, how Russia will respond? Does Russia want to stand up for Ukraine? I don't know that Russia wants to or if they have to, and what people would think with Russia trying to stop them from taking Ukraine, who's been belligerent. I don't know. But if they try to come down here, this is Odessa area. This is Transnistria. If they try to come down here, President Putin already told them that was what that warning was about. That if you try something that threatens us strategically, we will respond lightning fast. I promise you, NATO don't want to start there. Now, if NATO does come into the conflict, it's a game changer from the perspective that now the war has become enlarging, and this could lead to a world war situation. The only way it doesn't lead to a world war situation is if the NATO countries decide to limit the war year in this area. If they try to come down and try to limit it year, and if they do that, first of all, they will be at a disadvantage because Russia will pummel them. Because if they bring air force across the border, that's declaring a bigger war. Russia would not just shoot their airplanes down; they would shoot their airplanes down in their own countries, and that becomes bigger. So for them to come in there, they're going to have to come in without air power, and they would get just destroyed. So they're not coming there. Now, I do think they could try to still sneak in on the west because they think that Russia will look at it and be like, "Why should I fight for Ukraine?" Uh, 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 I think they could do that, but I think if they did do that to come and get Galicia, this area, I think Belarus will come in and take Volyn. So I don't think they would do that. I definitely don't think they would come into to they will come here to mess around with Odessa. Remember, NATO is a paper tiger, right? They all talk and propaganda. They can do squat. All right, that's it for today. Update. We'll give you guys more updates if they come faster. If the things are speeding up now, so if they come faster, we'll give you more updates. Uh, for now, see you later. And please, if you like what post, please support the channel. Give it a like, share, comment, and let's try to get more people to sign up to the channel. All right. Thank you. Sankara out.